Hi everyone and welcome to Stamp with Angela. I'm Angela Palmer and I'm excited to do my Facebook Live with you today, or you may see this as a YouTube video later on. And today I'm going to be sharing a technique with you using the decorative masks and also some embossing paste. So last week we used the decorative masks and we used it with ink. Today I'm going to use those masks, and this time we're going to use some embossing paste. So this is another way that you can make use of these masks and to create a nice background for your cards and things, and this also adds a bit of texture to it. So we'll get started shortly and I will show you the cards that are prepared and show you what we're going to make today. So thank you for taking the time to watch, and feel free to ask any questions or comment if you're watching the Facebook Live. Or you may like to, if you're watching it later, feel free to comment and I'll do my best to respond as soon as I can. So thank you for watching today, and I hope you enjoy today's cards and it inspires you. And if you haven't seen these decorative masks or the embossing paste, you may like to consider them and give it a try, because it's something that's fun to do, a little bit different, and it's not too difficult to do. All right, so let's get starting and do some crafting. So I've actually got two cards here today that I'm going to show you, and I know this one's probably hard to see, so maybe if I bring it up, hopefully it stays in focus. Can you see in the background this pattern? It is white on white, so it's a little bit harder to see, but it's really nice, actually, you know, in the flesh as it were, and it's actually got a shimmer to it as well. So that is the shimmery white embossing paste. And then with this card, it's the same mask and things, but I've actually coloured the embossing paste, so it's coloured, and you can colour it with whatever free inkers and things that you've got. So we're going to start with this one first, start with it in the plain colour, and then this one here. And I don't know if you recognise the card design, but that's similar layout to what we did last week. So if you haven't seen last week's video, you may like to check out this one here, which is the mask, and we inked the background. But can you see how the layout is the same? I've got this same image here, different colors obviously, and but yeah, different background. So sometimes you can see something used in a slightly different way and it can inspire you and things. Very different cards, and I love the Nature's Print set. I've used those stamps and dies so much in lots of different ways. And obviously the other card was more of a blue one. This is more pinks and greens, but change the colors up and you can make all sorts of cards. All right, so let's get started. So we're going to start with this one first. So we're going to use this mask this time, the Artisan decorative masks. Now you don't have to, but I'm going to use my Stamparatus because I find it helps put things, hold it in place and things. And I'm using the shimmery white embossing paste with one of the palette knives to help with that. The stamp sets that I'm using is the Splendid Thoughts and dies and things, but obviously you can put whatever you like on the front of your card. And the colors I've used, you'll see the Fresh Freesia, some of the soft sea foam, and then there's a little bit of Pool Party in there as well. And then I've also used some of the Splendid Day DSP that kind of coordinates with it as well. All right. So to start with, we will do our background, and it does not take long to dry, I'll tell you. So we're going to put this in here. You could tape it down if you don't have a Stamparatus, but the magnets just make it easier for holding it in place. So we're going to do this and this. All right. So I've actually got nearby a little container with water. Because this dries so much, it will actually dry on the mask fairly quickly too. So we don't want it to damage them and things. So we do that, have that ready. Okay, so here is my paste. So I'm just going to scoop some out. I don't know how much I need. We can always come back for more. Okay, and oops, on my finger. Spread it over the whole. This one I'm doing over the whole card. Get up to those corners. Maybe you just need to get right up to the corner. Can you see the sparkles on it? The kind of glittery look. So that's that shimmer. There is a matte one as well. If you don't want the shimmer, you can get the matte one as well. Now it looks like I'm wiping it all off, but I'm not actually. I'm just getting rid of all the excess, kind of making it flat, and it has filled in all those gaps. Whoops, it's on my magnet. So I'm going to put that back in there, cover it up so that it doesn't dry, and then very carefully lift this off, and what do you know? There it is. Can you see that? Definitely some texture there. I'm just going to put it aside and let it dry. And as I said, here I've got my container of warm soapy water, and I'm just going to put that in, because if I leave it, so you can see it's going a bit white there as the stuff comes off, I'll clean it and dry it properly for my second card, but just so it doesn't dry out, and I'm going to put that in there as well. Okay, so while we let that dry, we're going to stamp and cut out other bits. Like I said, you can do whatever you like on the front of yours. So we'll get these ready, and I need a white piece to, no, I don't need a white piece to stamp. Oh, okay, and then we've got that for cutting out too. Okay, so I'm using soft sea foam for this particular one here. So just going to stamp that. Whoops, that's not straight. And then the pool party. Thankfully, I've prepared one earlier, and we could turn it over and do it again if we needed to. There we are. So with the corresponding dies, I would then cut them out. Where's this one? And then there's this half circle for this design here. And then this is what they look like when they're cut out. So we'll move those ones away. So I've got 1, 2, 3. And then on this piece here, I've got this and this one. And that cuts out these two. Now I'd already cut them out, but what I could have done, or should have done, is put some adhesive sheet on the back and then cut it out, and then I could peel it off to stick, because it's quite flimsy, but we can sponge it with glue. We'll get there, and that will be okay. All right, so we've got all our bits, and the other thing we need is our little thank you. So I've just got a thin strip here. I'm going to use soft sea foam to tie that colour together with the around the card, and then I've got a little thank you stamp, and that is from this one here. I mean, there are lovely sentiments in the Splendid Day one, but I need lots of thank you cards for my customers and things, so that's why I'm going to make lots of thank you cards. So I've just stamped that, and then all I did was get my scissors and just angle it at each end like so. Okay, so now we've got kind of our pieces to sort of put it all together. Obviously it takes a little bit longer with your die cutting and things, but once we've done that, quick and easy. All right, so I'll put it all onto the card front, and then it'll be nice and steady for me. So we'll get, you can use tape or glue depending on what you prefer. So I'm going to put that. The edges might be a little bit rougher if the paste went slightly to the edges. There we go. I did miss that corner ever so slightly, probably because of the magnet. So I'm going to turn it down that way so it's more down the bottom. Then it won't be quite so noticeable. And put that on there. Oops, dimensional from somewhere. So can you see that texture and that shimmer? Very cool. All right, so going to put dimensionals on the back of these, and the other ones will go, the fresh freezer ones will go flat. All right, so let's put a couple of big ones on this, and then smaller mini ones on the other. And they've gone walkies at the moment. Where are they? My little one's gone. Here they are. I put the stamp set on top of them. All right. So it's great how you've got different sizes to put these ones on smaller spaces. Obviously you can cut the other ones in half too. A few on here. Whoops. That's too close to the edge. Let's just move that a little bit. As you can see, I stamped on the back side of this one and then corrected. All right, for that one, I think we'll go for a couple of big ones as well. 1, 2. Okay, so for this, since I haven't put adhesive on the back, we do need to be careful because it is quite thin. So I'm going to get my mat and dob a bit of glue down and turn this upside down. I'll do them both now and just kind of put some glue over it. There'll be lots of things on top of it, so it doesn't need to be stuck down too firmly as such, but hopefully enough to kind of hold it in place. And we're going to sort of put that in the middle. Whoops, I've got the other one stuck to me too. Middle top. All right. Oops, it's sticking to my thumb. Okay, there we go. All right. Then we'll do, so this is the soft seafoam one. We'll put that on the left. There we go. We want to see a bit of that colour coming through. And at the end, I'll give you a couple of tips on looking after your embossing paste so you can keep it going keep it going for a long time. Oops. Actually taking it off. I'd already taken that side off. Okay. There we are. And then the last one for us, and that's it basically. I'm not adding any extra what do you call them, embellishments and things, because it's already got that sparkle in it. You could, if you wanted to, you could add a bit of ribbon somehow if you wanted, but I think that looks quite nice as it is. So you can think about what die shapes you've got, or you could put an oval or something on the front and stamp in it and then just have all that texture around it, but it just makes it quite interesting. So has anyone used embossing paste before? Have you given it a go? Okay, so I'll show you the second card. Here it is. Okay, so what I need to do before I do it is take my, what do you call it? Mask. I've just taken it out of the water and I'm drying it, as you can see. And I'll dry my knife. I'm just using paper towels. And dry my knife as well. Okay. There we go. All right, so we're doing this one here. We're going to pull out Stamparatus again. Not to stamp on, but just to hold it in place. And of course, there are different masks that you can use and give it a try. All right, let's put our white piece down again. Right, I'm doing this first so it gives it a chance to dry before we do the other bits. And put that over the top. Try and line it up so it's straight and even. We don't kind of want a wonky design. It looks wonky up there, doesn't it? But is that because it's wonky underneath? Let's just double check. I think our paper's not quite in straight. All right, let's line it up nice and straight. There we go. That looks a bit better. Okay, so you'll see with this one, I haven't covered the whole thing. I've done a bit of a patchy sort of effect. So that's okay. Oh, you know what? On my other card, I just found this. I forgot to add it. So let's just poke that in there and stick that down. You don't have to, but there we go. Sorry about that. Okay, back to the second card. Okay, so we need to make some colour. So what I'm going to use is some, what do you call this? Ink refill, along with our embossing paste. Thank you, Nicolette. Glad you like the look of it. All right, and our knife. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to guess how much I need. Probably about that much, I think. And add a drop of the ink refill. Whoops, that's a big drop. That might be a bit darker this time. And then just mix it up. Okay, so the colour is even. So you can use whatever colour you've got. Okay, there we go. A nice pink ink. Can you see the sparkle too? All right, so then we're going to wipe it over Remember, I'm not wanting to cover the whole thing. I want more of a rough edge. And then I'm kind of going to scrape off the excess. Could use it for something else. I think that will do. So let's have a little peek and see. I don't know what my chances are of lying it back down again, but yeah, I'm happy with that. All right, so remember, put it in your water. Here's my water, putting it in there. I'll put my knife in too. If I'm lucky, I might be able to use that up on something else soon after, but it does dry fairly quickly. Okay, there we go. Now, let's stamp and then we'll put our card together afterwards. So we need to stamp a couple of things. So I'm using the Nature's Prints, this one here. So just remember last week's card, this is what I did, using the masks and inking at the background. I'm using the same layout. I'm not shadowing it like I did on that because this is a bit more of a contrast. Okay, so I have got this to stamp on, and while I'm stamping, I've already pre-cut these using this die from the set, so let's stamp those. So I need my big stamp and my soft sea foam ink. Funny, I haven't used this colour a lot in the past, but more recently, because it's sort of been used with some papers, I've used it and I quite like it. It's a nice sort of lightish green. And then the sentiment, thank you. Like I said, I like to make thank you cards for people, so these Facebook Live ones tend to be thank you cards too. Thank yous and happy birthdays are probably the main ones I do. All right, so then you're going to get the die and cut that out. And here's one I prepared earlier. So someone asked, how long does it take to dry? Well, it's been sitting here. I would say I'm not quite going to put the ribbon on, but yeah, a couple of minutes really. I mean, if I go back to this here, it's still kind of softish, but because it's quite spread out on the card and thin, it's growing a lot quicker. So yeah, a few minutes. You certainly don't need to wait ages and come back. I'll be able to put the card together very soon. So we've stamped that, so I'm going to adhere that on there to give it a bit of framing. I'll get sort of everything else ready. Oh look, I've got new nail polish. I've got some embossing paste on there. Get everything else ready before I handle that, but yeah, it doesn't take too long at all. Okay. There we go. So I like the way that you can, yeah, change the color to make it match what you're doing. All right, so our card base. So I'll put that on there ready. I'll try not to glue the dimensional bits down as well. There we go. Now I need to put my ribbon around there before I adhere it on. So I think, yep, that feels pretty dry now, but I'll carefully turn it over and just put a bit of tape down either side. And I'm going to put, where is it here? Oops, dimensional stuck. Put that across like so. So this ribbon is a little bit thicker than the one I used last week. But when you tie a little knot on it, it'll be fine. So now that's on, and just gauge the placings. Yep, I can put that on the front of my card. So I think a few cards recently I've made and they've used fresh freesia and soft seafoam, and that came about because of the colouring in the Splendid Day Designer Series paper. So sometimes it's really hard to know what colours to use, but just look at paper and what's put together and use that as inspiration. There we go, we're nearly done. Now I should have a little piece of ribbon. Now because it's quite thick, I'm not going to do a bow like I did on that one because it was a lot thinner. I'm just going to basically tie a knot, and I think that's really all you need. So, and remember at the end I'm going to give you some tips on storing your embossing paste. Is that stuck down? Yes. Okay. And then the last bit will be putting this on. Now I've got a little bit of a gap up there. What do I want to do that way? Still like it going that way, I think. But you know, white space is good sometimes. Right, I think they're all off. There we go. Lovely. So obviously they're going to be quite different with how they come out at the background because of, you know, the way you do it. It's not exact, not covering the whole thing. So embossing paste. So I wouldn't leave it uncovered and lying around for too long. So it comes with the foil and it's sealed when you get it. So I've actually had this one for a while. So how I stored it, I actually put some Glad wrap over it. Then I put the lid on. So that made it really tight. And then I stored it in a plastic bag. So I'm really covering my bases to keep it. This is the bag that it came in. And then making sure I seal that well. And I haven't used this in months. I kind of opened it and thought, oh, I wonder if it's going to be okay. Has it gone hard? But it was fine. So it does have, you know, a shelf life, and it's and it can sometimes go dry. But if you are careful, put Glad wrap, put in a plastic bag, try and make it as airtight as possible, then it should last a while. All right, so today's cards. Where's the first one? It has disappeared. Here it is. It's hiding. There we go. So we've used these decorative masks to create our background. You can keep it, you know, just plain white, and it would also look nice, the white on a coloured card, which I hadn't had a chance to try, but I think that would look nice. Or you can colour it by mixing it with some of the ink refill as well. So there you go. So some inspiration for you. Why not give it a try? If you've got some masks and some embossing paste, it's lots of fun. So thank you for joining me today. And I'd love to see what creations and things you make. And if you've got any questions, please ask. If you're looking for any of the product and you don't have a demonstrator, then please contact me and I can help if there's anything you need to order or send you catalogs. So thank you for your time today. I really appreciate you joining me for these Facebook Lives and for YouTube. If you are watching this on YouTube, please subscribe to my channel and like this video. I appreciate that. Thank you so much for your time today, and I look forward to seeing you again next week. All right, thanks. Bye.